Hi, I'm Jared.
And I'm Ebony, and this is his
And hers.
Warhammer 40k.
Yay! Today we'll be discussing the second Siege of Terra book, The Lost and the Damned.
Also, you forgot a thing.
What'd I forget?
It's 4th of July.
It is 4th of July. Yay! Ebony loves fireworks.
We have a lot of fireworks right now.
They're all over the place and have been going for the last
2 weeks? 3 weeks?
months.
Yeah, just continuous explosions.
Yeah.
It's super great.
Anyway, so in the second Siege of Terra book, we finally landed on Terra. The Solar War happened previously, and the enemy forces, traitor forces, have now landed outside of Terra and are trying to essentially break through the walls.
Still no Horus versus Emperor.
We're a long way before we get to that. Like 6 more books.
Great. Waiting patiently.
Do you want to just read that? Because I can give you the old lore. It's like 4 paragraphs and that's it.
Boo. I want a whole book of just the Emperor laying the smackdown on Horus.
That doesn't happen.
Boo. I'm prepared to be disappointed, I guess.
Okay. Like, you understand the state of modern 40k, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't get there with the Emperor cleanly defeating Horus.
But I just want it.
Yeah, that will happen eventually.
With swords and psychic abilities.
That does happen, yes.
All right.
Anyway, so the traitor forces come down on Terra, and the first thing they have to deal with is the Aegis.
That's true. Giant bubble.
Giant bubble, which...
apparently powered by the Emperor's will?
Different things. So I think...
his will prevents demons from landing?
Yes.
But the Aegis is just like a spaceship shield.
Yeah, the Aegis is basically a Dark Age of technology, super powerful void shield.
Got it.
Made out of these like interlocking layers.
Of like hexagonal plates.
Yes. Yep.
I read this book.
Which is sort of a classic sci-fi image.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Yep, I agree.
I thought it took too long.
Well, I mean, it's a siege. Sieges take a long time, and sometimes not a lot happens.
Yeah, I would say not a lot happened in this book.
You're gonna find that probably for the first few.
Yeah, because what everyone wants to happen is Horus v. Emperor.
No.
Smackdown, swords,
not
psychic ability.
No.
That's what I want.
The first thing I think we had to deal with was the fallout from Praetorian of Dorne. We have the Alpha Legion agents who were...
Ms. Madra and
Ashel, yep.
Who are now Ms. Madra because she's so baller she doesn't need a spy name. She's just using her regular name. And whatever Ashel called himself.
I think with Donner?
Dondakar, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah. And they have inserted themselves into this army of like regular humans that are supposed to be sort of the front guard of the Imperium against Horus's advance.
Guard is
they're
them
really
too much
not
credit.
Soldiers.
They basically just conscripted literally whole cities.
Yeah, just
gave them a gun and pointed them at the front lines.
This direction, shoot that way.
Yep.
Yeah, because we get it through Katsuhiro's eyes, who's like I guess sort of a main character. He's like a regular human who used to be a farmer, and now he's on a giant train full of millions of people, and everyone's like, shoot that way.
I really like the scene where he's sort of getting there, and all the sort of management, the tags that they assign to people. I
think it's written really well, but it's confusing on purpose because it's written really well, because he doesn't know what's going on,
right?
And he's your narrator, and for the first like 10 pages, I was like, what is happening? Which is exactly how it feels.
A lot of the Siege of Terra, you're going to get so much more out of it if you're already familiar with like the general plot points of the siege.
Right.
And, what the world is like. So, like, do you know where the Imperial Palace is located?
Like the Himalayan mountains.
Right. I believe... I want to say if you look at like a real world map and you superimpose on the Gobi Desert,
okay,
like that plateau, that is where the Imperial Palace is.
Gotcha.
It's the size of that entire desert.
It's large.
It's very large. Yep. And so Katsuhiro, I believe, was pulled from like what qualifies for Japan,
Maybe.
or like somewhere. I think someone
Yeah.
mentions he's from like the Dragon Kingdoms at one point.
I have no idea where he's from.
Yeah.
His name is vaguely Japanese.
Yep. That's pretty much all we're gonna get there.
Yeah. I liked him.
I did too.
And he didn't die.
He did not die.
Which is good.
He's holding on until the next Guy Haley book, where he will probably die.
Why?
So there's only 6 authors who are writing the Siege of Terra books. Mm-hmm. There are 8 of them. So obviously 2 of them are going to write 2 books.
Okay.
We know one of them is Dan Abnett, because Dan Abnett is absolutely writing the last book, and we know he has written the 4th book.
Okay.
And the other one will certainly be Guy Haley, because he writes at lightning speed. Like, Aaron Dembski-Bowden has once said, for every book that he finishes, Guy Haley can write 5 books, 17 short stories, and 2 audio dramas.
Well, that's a good talent.
Yes. Yep. Let's see. Who else do we have? I'm just going through the Dramatis Personae.
I never read that.
I do too.
You read it aggressively.
I go back and forth because I like knowing what all the reminding myself what all the connections are.
Yeah.
Because usually these connections are from different books.
I just feel like if that person is super important, then it is your job as a writer to make that character super important to me.
Idea
that I remember their name.
They're not supposed to be important because it's a perspective, but it's not important perspective.
Yeah, but that perspective should impress something upon me, and if it doesn't, then you're wasting space in your book. Right? Like, if a whole thing happened and I'm like, who? I don't know, whatever. Then that thing really didn't matter to my takeaway from this book, and thus is a waste of words.
So part of that is this book includes a lot of characters from other Guy Haley stories.
But like accessory characters,
did not read.
I will remember them if I think their story was important. So
yeah, but you didn't. But you didn't read those novels.
No, but I mean, if I think they're like this happening of them impresses something upon me, I'll remember their names.
Okay. So let's see. Who else did we have? I'm trying to remember the order of events. We had the Loyalist Primarchs meeting with the High Lords and Malcador to go over sort of the events, essentially, which was basically exposition for us of how they're landing and what they're doing, and how Rogaldorn wants everyone to stay inside and basically wait until...
Not opening the gates and saving all the people who are dying outside the palace.
Well, no. I mean, the idea is... The point of this book is you have the fodder versus the fodder.
Yeah.
You know, you have the endless masses of traitor humans, traitor abhumans, and mutants going against what are just regular people. You know, the normal Imperial Army and Space Marines are being kept inside because they know the traitor Imperial Army and Space Marines are being kept inside. And that is why they're called the Lost and the Damned. It applies to both sides. Mm-hmm. These are the people that no one really cares about. But it's nice to have a perspective on that. That said, there were 3 sort of short perspectives that sort of tied through the story, or I wish they tied through. Each one was kind of standalone. We had one that was of a fighter pilot.
Like Aisha and her adjutant, D something.
The Bright Hawks?
Yeah, their boss is Aisha.
I thought it was Aisha, but okay.
Close.
Yep.
And her adjutant is D something. And
Dandar?
Yeah.
And Yancey.
I don't know who Yancey is.
Was another pilot.
Yeah. I think Yancey dies. Like, Yancey is her...
I mean, they all die.
Yes, they all die. Well, she dies coolly, Aisha. But, like, Yancey, I think, just dies getting shot in a traitor dogfight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, being her woman.
I was interested by... At this point, the Perturabo is starting to figure out how to break through the Aegis.
Yes, he's knocking down chunks.
Targeting specific locations and trying to get through multiple layers in order to blow out the shield generators at one location. As those break, you have the traitor forces that are starting to send down planes. Mm-hmm. Basically get dropped in their orbit to air plans, and you have this dogfighting that's going on, where I'm not entirely sure if they're going in and out of the Aegis.
So they are when there are holes, but like in one of Aisha's dogfights, I think
someone crashes into
someone crashes into it and dies, but she definitely goes through one because she talks about like how it feels weird, like you can physically feel it when your personal person goes through it.
Right.
So I think it's that it's sort of flashing off and on, and if you're lucky and it's off, you can get through it. And I guess if you're lucky and it's on, you can get through it, and the person behind you can't. And if you're unlucky, maybe you get cut in half.
Right. So like most void shields, they block things that are either really big or really fast or both.
Yeah.
And so if you're small and you're slow enough, you can slip through them.
Mm-hmm. Like you can walk through it, yes. Yeah. But fly a plane through it, probably not. Unless it's off.
Unless it's weak.
Yeah.
So there are definitely times where they went through it and it was weak.
Yeah.
I thought that was probably the most developed of these three little side perspectives.
There's that side perspective of the Titan Legion.
So that is not actually a side perspective.
No.
Those are the main characters from Guy Haley's book Titan Death.
Gotcha.
So they have an entire novel to
I
themselves.
assume there was some backstory because this person hated that person, but then they took over their Titan and they were missing their own. I got a little bit of that in their back and forth talk.
Do you remember Beta Garmon? There was talk
remember
about
the
it.
Word Beta Garmon.
Okay. So that was basically a planet. At the time I think it was the largest forge world outside of Mars.
Okay.
That was in Segmentum Solar, which is like immediately in the area around Sol. And it was where the largest Titan battle of the Horus Heresy was taking place.
Okay.
And the idea was Rogel Dorn sent as many forces and as many Titans as he could to Beta Garmon, which ended up being this multi-year meat grinder of everyone just throwing forces into it.
Okay.
In order to make sure as few Titans could end up on Terra. Because the one thing they didn't want was a Titan war on Terra.
Right.
Because Terra would not survive that.
Yeah.
Titan Death is the novel that covers
that Titan unit.
Some perspective of that.
Okay.
Yeah. The actual story of Beta Garmon is in a totally separate book, and whether or not Titan Death should have been written in the first place is another thing.
Oh, politics.
Yeah. Originally, there wasn't going to be a novel about Beta Garmon. There was only going to be like a source book. And everyone, complained and said, oh, you can't skip over this, one of the most important battles.
It has to be a thing.
So they basically rearranged the schedule, had Guy Haley super quickly write a novel in order to cover it. And
it wasn't that great.
There's a pretty big split on the quality of it.
Well, it was rushed.
Yeah. It might have been his most rushed novel, if I understand correctly. Moving back to Lost and Damned, so we have that perspective.
I like how you're just going to go down the list of dramatis personae.
Well, it's how I remember it. At this point, it's been almost a month since, probably more than a month since I finished it. Yeah,
I finished it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so unfortunately, there's a delay between when we can finish the book and when we can actually get around to doing our little book club. Who else did we cover? There was a perspective from Trader Guardsmen that I don't think you remember. They were still on the ship.
And like their ship crashes.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was kind of fascinating because they were clearly just from some world that was originally liberated by Horus, like during the Great Crusade.
Right.
And so sided with him going forward.
Yeah.
But they had almost like an Irish feel to them. There was like someone named Seamus or something of that.
I have no memory of this happening. I remember a spaceship crashing with traders on it. That's it.
Yeah. So there was definitely an element, like this side story to get like a Trader Guardsman perspective.
I feel like my most clear memory of traders, and now I'm not sure it's this book, is like trying to make Trader Astartes, and
that was Solar War.
Suck.
That was Solar War.
Okay.
Yeah. I like that element too.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great little side story in Solar War.
Okay.
That does not happen in this.
Okay.
No.
I just replaced those humans with human / Astartes.
No. And the last perspective were the Beastmen. I really like this because we almost never get any perspective on Beastmen. And they're pretty... Technically, they're abhumans, but they're
I didn't
treated
even know
as
Beastmen
mutants.
were a thing.
Yeah, they're an old piece of lore. There used to be like a Beastmen Imperial Guard army, and they're basically what you imagine goat people to be. Yeah. But they do breed true, which makes them abhumans and not mutants.
Gotcha.
Other abhumans being like ogrins and ratlings.
And by breed true, you mean 2 of those make one of these. Make one of them. Or if one of your parents is a beast man, you're a beast man.
No. Well, I mean that will happen. But it means if 2 beast men have a child, it will be a beast man.
What would be the alternative to breeding?
So mutants, if they have a child, could be literally anything.
Weird.
Yeah, because
I guess
because the idea is mutants are not stable.
I guess that's a Warhammer genetics thing. Because like when I think of crosses, I think of like you just being sterile. As in
that's a possibility too.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't have a lot of information about beastmen other than they are technically an abhuman breed. And that they're, unlike other abhumans like ogrins and ratlings, they are super oppressed.
Okay.
Like way more than any other abhuman that we know of.
They seem angry about it.
Yes, they're extremely angry about it.
Which seems fair. Just saying.
There seemed to be an element where he sort of started to channel Korn a little bit. There was like a bloodlust that sort of took him over.
But I really couldn't tell if that was Korn or just like, I'm an angry goat.
Yeah. Goats can get very angry.
They're so cute.
Not these.
No.
Let's see. So those are all the side perspectives, and they were okay. My biggest complaint is they kind of shouldn't have been in this novel. Like, I get it's good to have these side perspectives, but I would have preferred either shortening it or more focus on the other characters that we did have. Or maybe just cutting out 2 of them and just focusing on one, because I would have preferred these as separate short stories.
I like the fighter pilot one.
That would have been okay. Like I maybe the Beastmen one I would have preferred to keep and maybe expanded upon.
Yeah, I guess I could see it lengthened to make the characters have more of an impact on the reader.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
To the Primarchs.
To the Primarch. Are we up to the Primarchs?
I want to be.
This is the problem with modern 40k fans. They literally want Primarchs and nothing else.
No, I mean, I'm okay with humans, but like...
No, you're not.
I am.
You hate every human character.
No, I like Katsuhiro.
Okay.
And I like Malkador, who is technically a human.
Sure.
He's human adjacent.
All right, yeah. So they meet. That was excellent. Okay. So the Primarchs.
Can we just celebrate Sanguinius actually doing something?
I was going to start with the Traitor Primarchs.
Anything.
Yeah. Sanguinius finally does something, and it feels meaningful.
Yeah. It's better than whining.
Let me put it this way. It's such a big deal that him doing that is on the cover.
Well, because to be fair, most of his life, apparently, he's done nothing but whine. That's all I get. All I ever get from Sanguinius is whiny, mopey, angsty baby. Like...
I mean, that is just part of him.
Get it together, dude. You're an adult. You're a super adult. You are a transhuman adult responsible for the lives of literally millions. Stop whining.
Let's see how you react when you can see your own death.
Okay, but like, get over it. Everyone dies.
But no one knows when they're gonna die.
I mean, yeah, that would make you, like, screwed up for a couple days, but it's been literally years. He's been whining about it for years.
You're gonna be screwed up more than just a few days.
All right.
Conrad Kurz.
Yeah, but he does it without whining about it. He just does it.
No, he doesn't. He whines constantly about it.
I suppose.
I did think this was a really good juxtaposition with what we see of Conrad Kurz, because both Sanguinius and Conrad Kurz can see their own death. Conrad Kurz takes that to mean all of life is meaningless and sort of takes it as this joke. It creates this sort of split personality between a Joker-esque character of just having pain and suffering around him and trying to follow some sense of justice leading up to his death. Sanguinius, on the other hand, comes to the realization that because he knows exactly when he's going to die, he can do anything he wants up to that point. And everyone around him can say, this is super dangerous, you shouldn't be here. And he goes, I don't die here. And then just proceed to do whatever he wants. I liked seeing Sanguinius like that.
But could he have gotten like that a little bit sooner?
Nah.
There was a whole book of Whiny Mopey Baby.
Which one?
The one where they're like making Imperium Secundus that now we're
Oh, that's because you also never read Ruinstorm, which does have Sanguinius kicking quite a bit of ass.
Okay. Yeah, I want more ass-kicking Sanguinius and less whining.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. You wanted to get to the siege and thus skipped over a huge number of books.
Because they had whiny Sanguinius in them.
This one didn't.
I feel like maybe Doran and Gilliman are my favorite Primarchs.
Yes. Rogel Dorn is her favorite Primarch.
He's just he's got his shit together, right?
We'll see how you feel about that when we get to post-heresy. Okay. She doesn't know about the Iron Cage.
I don't know.
Or the Pain Glove.
All of that sounds bad.
Yeah, well, you'll learn eventually.
I just feel like he's got it together and he expects other people to have it together and everything is just efficient and prepared for and planned. And that's how I like life. Okay.
That's fine. I think it's great to have a Primarch that you really appreciate.
I mean, I also really appreciate Fulgrim, though.
Yeah. Speaking of Fulgrim and the other traitor Primarchs, there was a great scene where they're all gathering together in like holograms to talk with Horus about landing. And
Angron's just like, Rah!
Angron was wonderful. Oh,
and
that was so good.
What is happening?
Abaddon trying to hold them together was phenomenal. I loved this.
Also, can we talk about Angron just yelling and riding on the front of spaceships? He's just doing it.
So that's how he came through.
I know. He was like, I'm just going to sit on the outside of this spaceship. It's fine.
It is fine because he's a demon Primarch now. I don't think you read, I think it's A Rose Dipped in Blood or a rose covered in blood.
That sounds unfamiliar.
It's a short story that talks about the Conqueror, the ship, coming through the warp to get to Terra.
Okay.
While Angron's trapped inside of it, and it's literally causing the ship to mutate into to come alive. Also, it's turning every drop of water on the ship to blood.
It sounds like everyone's gonna be real thirsty.
Yes, that's a large portion of the story. Is everyone is horrifically dehydrated, trying to keep pieces of the machinery from ripping out of the wall and attacking people.
Huh. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Great Lotara Siren story. That was a really good one. So they meet, and was Mortarion the last one to show up? And Perturabo was complaining because he's like, I should be the first one down.
Yeah, but it's going to be Mortarion.
It's always annoying to see Perturabo kind of like this because I felt he was done really well in Solar War, where he had his plan going forward.
He's kind of whiny baby now.
And he was constantly thinking Dorn has a thing that he's gonna strike at us, and we're totally prepared for it. Dorn didn't have anything, and Perturabo just rolled through.
Yeah, pretty much.
This one, it's annoying seeing him like this.
He's a little annoying, but I think that might also be the chaos, right? It's warping his personality a little. So
Perturabo's sort of a weird one like that. Because you read Angel Exterminatus. Okay. And you remember what happened.
I feel like that's my favorite book, isn't it?
Yeah? What happens to Perturabo in it then?
Is Perturabo in that book?
Oh, do I know some people who would hang you for that one.
I feel like isn't Angel Exterminatus about Fulgrim being awesome?
How?
He's going somewhere. He's building a theater.
What? No, that's halfway. What happens at the end? What is literally the point of the book?
I have no idea. There were some spies, maybe, and they were gonna kill Fulgrim.
Yeah, but they failed.
Because he's awesome.
What did Fulgrim actually accomplish?
Did he become a demon in that book?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's my favorite book.
Okay.
I didn't know Perturabo was in it.
He becomes a demon, well, two ways. First, he tears open a bunch of wounds on his body and stuffs them full of Eldar soulstones.
Seems like a poor choice, but...
And two, he gave, like, was it a cloak or like a mantle to Perturabo? Because he's like, you're awesome, and I want you to have this.
Is it like made of faces?
That's Fabius Biles. Mm-hmm. But this one just looked awesome. But it turns out at the end, it was actually a thing that let Fulgrim drain Perturabo's power in order to charge his own demonic ascension.
Okay.
And that whole event supercharged Perturabo's paranoia, which led into him trying to, I guess, control chaos, which he never read to learn, but that's like a big deal in that book, where he's searching for chaos artifacts, and Horus sends a representative to basically say, what are you doing here?
Okay.
Yeah. In this book, he's still kind of going at that.
He's whiny and afraid and
but is so focused.
Awkward.
At this point, he is so focused on feeling deserved, feeling needed.
Yeah. But he really isn't that needed.
I mean, he's pretty needed.
I guess we can't trust everything to Angron.
So, I did really like when Horus finally comes in and is able to control all of the Chaos Primarchs. Like, that to me is the evidence that he deserved to be War Master.
Yeah.
Is this idea that he is the only Primarch who can actually control both the, quote, civilized and uncivilized Primarchs.
Yeah, he does a good job wrangling the room.
Right. However, the banter that was going on was just phenomenal between Fulgrim and Angron, Magnus, and I even liked, what was her name? Soda Null.
Mm-hmm.
So Soda Null's a weird one for me because she played a very big role in Talarn. Mm-hmm. She was basically the Dark Mechanicum's representative with Perturabo.
She is like an underling who has his own underlings.
Well, she's got 8. She's the one with eight underlings,
and one of her underlings has 8 underlings.
Well, yeah. So each one of them has their own underlings. Yeah. But what's weird about this is her position really should have been Kalbor Hal, who is the Fabricator General of Mars.
Yeah.
Who's the one who actually went traitor.
Right.
Like, she's sort of this character that was created, and it's neat. I like her. But they sort of kept elevating her.
And you're like, who are you?
I don't know. Like,
you want more Kalbor Hal?
I want more Kalbor Hal. Okay. I feel like he has not actually done anything. Yeah. Soda Null is the one who has done everything, which I'm fine with. Just want to know what happened to him.
Maybe she murders him and becomes Fabricator General.
She doesn't.
Oh.
Unfortunately. Let's see, Kalbor Hal, Soda Null. Klain Pent.
That's her person.
Yeah, the 5th disciple of Null. Yeah. You had the disciples of Null.
He's building the things that are going to come forward and attack.
Yes.
The towers? We're not really sure what they are, but they're bad.
So, before we get to the towers, there were the 8 landing locations.
For the towers, right?
Well,
or you land there and then you build the thing.
They landed there and then built them.
Yeah.
So they, Soda Null's disciples all landed in like a traditional like Chaos Oxid shape. And put up void shields to protect themselves, and you have the guns from the palace trying to shoot through them.
And they've got fancy ass guns.
Oh yeah. What were the towers called?
I don't remember what the towers are called.
There was like number 15 or something. Yeah.
But they're like the guns like shoot this.
The descriptions of it were
that
great.
Like moves all your atoms instantaneously.
Was it Volkite?
Maybe, yeah. Volkite cannons.
Volkite is so good. You know what sound Volkite makes? Choom.
Choom?
CHOOM. Choom. Like imagine
a lasery sound.
Imagine a red beam, but it's got like circles around it.
Seems dangerous. I would avoid it.
It's so cool. Like, it looks so classic ray gun.
Okay. Don't look into ray guns with your eyes.
No. Was it in this book? I believe so. They're building, are they Death Guard towers? Right, the Death Guard lands. And it's their towers.
No, I think these are like Mechanicum towers, because Clane Pent is in one.
What? I might be thinking of a different book.
They like build these towers, and Sanguinius stabs one.
Weren't these towers like impossibly large?
Yes, but then they move. Like they're moving at the palace.
They're siege towers.
Yeah.
Like you're familiar with siege towers.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Sanguinius lands on one and is like, not today.
Yes. But but the towers are Nurgle powered.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. They are full of Death Guard who at this point are 100% Nurgly. Yeah.
Nurgly. It sounds cute, but it's not.
It's not. Oh, you never read, or did you read Lords of Silence?
I don't know.
We'll get to that one. It's a post-heresy 100% Death Guard perspective book. Yes, as nerdly as possible. Like, what happens if you 100% give yourself over to him? What does he give back? Turns out a lot.
Oh.
They're very pleasant.
Okay.
Like in terms of like conversation, it's actually really lovely.
Sure. That's what everyone says who wants you to be covered in boils.
Boils? That's low tier. We need like the crawlies on you.
Ew, I don't want crawlies.
And the egg sacs.
No, nothing about that sounds good. Stop.
Okay, all right.
Nurgly.
There's probably some stuff we skipped over.
Did we skip stuff?
Maybe.
We skipped that whole part. Are you still doing Trader Primarchs, or can I do the good Primarchs?
The part where Angron gets muted.
They're still doing Trader Primarchs.
I loved that, where he's raging and they're like, just mute him.
Yeah, that's what I was imagining, at least.
That was fun.
In my head, Angron is that tiny frog that yells, but like red.
Okay. All right. You want to do the Loyalist Primarchs?
Yeah. Let's talk about how Rogel Dorn was like, hey guys, stay in this building. Don't be going places. And the Khan was like, pieces. Like, I'm just going to go ride bikes and shoot people. And Dorn is like, what? No one's doing what I told them to do.
You can't control the Khan.
Clearly.
You can't control the Khan.
Yeah, but then he almost gets trapped on a thing, and Sanguinius has to fly out there and save him.
Sanguinius was already out there.
Also flying around with his giant wings, just being a target. And Dorn, I just imagine Dorn is in his office, like.
I mean, Raldoran and Escalion are going crazy.
They're like, please stop it. And he's like, not gonna die today. And they're like, yeah, no, please stop it. And he's like, not gonna die today.
Yep. It was really cool when he lands, though, among sort of the normal troops, and you have this holy light to them.
Yeah, all right.
That is what Sanguinius is for.
It's inspiring.
He is the representation to normal humans.
Okay.
And
they loved it.
Arguably, he was second choice for War Master because of his good relation with normal humans.
People?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, but I don't see him, like, controlling a room of Primarchs.
No.
I feel like when he gets overwhelmed, he just, like, folds his wings around his face and sits down and mopes about it.
Actually, it's the opposite. He spreads his wings and he leaves.
Also that.
Yeah.
He only ever mopes or literally flies away.
So, I don't think you read Herald of Sanguinius. So back during Imperium Secundus, when he was emperor, and he had to deal with...
He did not love that.
Like, the normal stuff of, like, grievances and people coming through, and he'd be like, I can't deal with this shit. He got a group of Blood Angels together, and they, one by one, would, like, draw straws, essentially, until there were just two left. And the two that were left had to do basically a ritual where the one that survived, the one that had to go through with it, would kill the other. And
this sounds like something I read, actually.
Might have. And burned this mask
onto their face.
Right. Yeah. To basically act in Sanguinius' stead when he wasn't around.
Yeah, but no one can know who it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is the Herald of Sanguinius, which you didn't read Ruinstorm, but something happens to the Herald of Sanguinius, and now we have this thing in modern 40k that pops in and out of the warp called the Sanguinor, which...
might be the Herald of Sanguinius.
Right.
Okay.
And it seems to be some sort of good demon thing.
Okay.
It exists.
Okay.
It was made for a purpose. That purpose no longer exists, and so it's kind of like, I'm going to sacrifice myself.
Yeah. So the Khan goes out, kicks butt.
Khan goes out with the white scars.
Jet bikes everywhere.
Oh, so good. I love seeing the white scars do their thing.
Yeah, and Sanguinius is flying around. Doran is rolling his eyes somewhere in his office because no one listens to him. And then
the Khan gets stabbed.
And Sanguinius is like, save my brother. And then he whips out the sword, and he's got a staff and a sword, right?
So there's the Spear of Telesto.
Which apparently kills everyone around you except people who like you. By an unknown mechanism.
Yeah. So I need to go through the horse.
He stabs it down, and everyone in a certain radius dies except for loyalists.
Yeah. I need to go through the source books, but... they have like the key weapons of all the Primarchs, and there's 2 sets for Sanguinius. The Spear of Telesto is one, and then he's got like a shorter sword, and then there's another sword that he fights with as well. It's like the Silver Blade or something like that.
It was cool. It was nice to see him like kicking ass and taking names.
He'll be
smacking people with his wings.
He'll be doing a lot more going forward.
I'm just imagining he smacked people with his wings. I don't know that was actually described.
It's buffeted.
Buffeted?
Yes, you buffet someone. It's like when you...
Oh, no, I just meant like you take your whole wing and you're like, meh.
Oh.
His wings are huge. I feel like one man, he can knock over a whole bunch of people.
What else? Oh, another big element that wouldn't have meant much to you, or two actually.
Look at this whole book of things that I didn't care about.
It is. Like, this book is filled with references to other Guy Haley books, none of which you read.
Okay.
Maximus Thane. So I believe it was...
I have never heard that name before.
You have. He's throughout the whole book. So Raldoran and Maximus Thane. You had a Blood Angel and Imperial Fist who were like assigned...
I just decided his name was Thane because they...
Oh, that's his last name. Yeah, Captain Thane.
Yeah.
They were sort of assigned to the same section.
Yeah.
Post-heresy, so as far as we know, Maximus Thane is going to survive.
Okay.
He is a captain in a successor chapter called the Fist's Exemplar.
Okay.
And he will go on to... I don't want to spoil the whole War of the Beast storyline, which is like a 12-book series.
Okay.
He is heavily involved in that and becomes the new chapter master of the Imperial Fists eventually.
You know, we didn't yell spoiler alert at the beginning of this video, which we usually do.
I mean, at this point, people should know.
Spoiler!
But spoiler, yeah.
Okay.
What's weird about that series takes place 1,500 years after the Horus Heresy.
He's real old.
But he's not.
He must
super weird.
Time travel.
No. And Guy Haley has mentioned, like, oh, well, captains in the legions didn't have the same responsibilities as a captain in a chapter. You know, they were like lesser.
Maybe it's just another dude named Captain Thane.
I would be okay with that, except
it's not.
It's not.
I did like that fight scene though, like Raldoran and Thane and the Death Guard and
was it Death Guard or Night Lords?
It might have been Night Lords.
Yeah, so that's the next part.
Oh, right,
I
because Circus Face, that's what I'm calling him now.
The Painted Count?
Yeah.
That's okay. Circus Face is actually a decent description.
Circus Face.
I wish. So this is Gendor Skravok. Who he has had a spectacular fall to chaos.
He also had Angron in the hold of a ship, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right. So the World Eaters needed to do something about Angron because they couldn't
literally
keep him on
destroying their ship.
And so they talk with Skravok, who I believe...
Which, like, what is his plan? Like, if you destroy your whole ship, are you just floating in space angrily?
He can fly in space.
Okay. That's his plan, then.
That it's a benefit of being a demon. laws of physics don't apply to you.
Okay.
Like, you can just, like, flying in space is not a problem.
I mean, he sits on the outside of spaceships, so I suppose. I always forget he has wings.
Yep, full wings. There's, in Ruinstorm, actually, they cover demons flying in space a lot. And everyone is like, that shouldn't be possible. Like, they literally fly on wings in space.
Seems hard.
And everyone is like, how? No.
Maybe you just do one flap.
No, they fly through it like the air.
Weird.
Because demons.
I was thinking maybe you just push once and you just keep going.
Nope.
There's no gravity.
Nope.
Okay.
They can maneuver, and yeah, he does the same. So they managed to teleport Angron over to what was...
It was like the maze they had built for Vulcan,
It was the maze they built for Vulcan.
Uh-huh.
What was the name of the Night Lord's ship, though?
No idea.
Was it the Nightfall?
I've just been
Something
calling
like
it
that.
Circus Face's ship.
There's a whole backstory about Gandor Skraylock,
Okay.
where basically he was unlike, do you remember like Talos and sort of the Night Lords from the Night Lords trilogy?
Yeah.
They were all sort of gutter scum
Okay.
who were recruited into the Night Lords.
Okay.
Skraylock was not.
He was like
He was
a fancy nobleman.
He was from the aristocracy.
He thinks he's fancy.
And he came through as like more of like a traditional legionnaire, but with like a mean streak.
Yeah.
And throughout Pharos, which is a book you didn't read, he's leading the Night Lord forces to try and destroy the Pharos.
Right, because Conrad Kurz is
Off doing whatever. Sevatar is, I think, still captured by the Dark Angels at this point.
okay.
And so Skraylock...
It's like, I'm the boss now.
Right. Well, so the way he gets there is I forget how he gets it, but there's a sword that both he finds and it finds him.
I see.
And this is the sword that he has in this book.
Great.
That slowly begins to like push his ego more and more, and he starts to get more dramatic and more wild. Like, he was a pretty sort of stoic, if mean, person before.
And now he's crazy.
And then by the end of Pharos, so he uses the Pharos to teleport onto, I think it was the Nightfall.
Okay.
You know, Kurz's
Ship.
like their
Flagship.
Gloriana class ship, and basically takes over. There's a short story where he manages to fight off the other commanders there and takes control of it and says, you know, we're going to with Horus to Terra. And so his Night Lord forces go to Terra. There were plenty of others that didn't.
Right.
There was a big gathering where Sevatar is in command, and all the other Night Lord commanders are like, well, what do we do? You know, Kurz is just gone. And Sevatar goes, I don't give a fuck.
Bye.
Bye. Yep. In this, though, we can see that... No.
I'm shaking the camera.
Sorry.
It's a shaker.
In this story, we can see that Skraylock has gone full crazy, has given into this sword, and is like...
Clown face.
Well, he always had that, because he was always known as the Painted Count.
Okay. So he was always a little bit crazy.
Yeah. And believes that he can take on... I believe it was Raldoran.
Yeah, he's like, I'm
gonna be the one that kills Raldoran.
Yeah.
And he's got his sword, which makes him like a super amazing swordsman. That's actually how he defeats off all the other Night Lord commanders. Like, he is super powered with this thing.
And then Raldoran kicks him off the
wall. The sword abandons him.
Yeah.
And at that point, he's like, wait, what? Like, why can't I defeat you? Raldoran kicks his ass.
And then throws him
off the wall. Which at that point I thought he was done with.
He didn't die.
No, he didn't die. The sword starts talking to him and goes, who are you? Like, did you really think you could defeat Raldoran?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. The
You're
sword's
no one.
No. But then he's like, but if you let me in,
like,
I'll make it better.
Yeah. He's like, I don't want to die. You know, there's nothing worse. You know, I'll submit to servitude for you. Just don't kill me. And then it's like, okay, but first you have to know all of the possible pleasures and pains in existence, which the number they gave, I wish I could remember it.
I don't know, but it's like...
It was like 66, raised to the
Something
66th
crazy.
power.
Yeah, and it was like, you're going to spend this many years getting tortured in the warp, and then we'll take over the world. Maybe.
Actually, I think it was a reason. It was some number that it was not, unless I calculated it wrong, because it might have not
calculated this number.
Well, because I wanted to figure out, like, okay, is there a date where he would come out of the warp? And I think it was like M38.
Okay.
Like 8,000 years later.
That's not so bad. I mean, I'm not the one getting tortured.
It's pretty bad. Although, there was another big character that showed up that you probably don't remember, of the Night Lords. Lucoriphus.
I don't know who that is.
Lucoriphus.
I don't know who that is.
He was the raptor.
I have no memory of. We had this conversation when I was reading that chapter, and you're like, you don't remember him from the Night Lords? And I was like, no.
He was a major character for the second and third Night Lords books.
Well, now he
led the raptors.
Bird feet.
He always had bird feet.
No, he talked about how they're hurting and they're exploding in this.
Oh,
in this book.
well, yes. I meant in the Night Lords books.
Yeah.
Like he had bird feet.
No memory.
And he always talked about how he was the first one on the walls of the Imperial Palace. I don't know if I like that that's true, like, and it's now confirmed true.
I mean, he flopped down there with his bird arms and feet.
It's not that. It's that, like, there were lots of other things that were shooting.
Yeah.
It was neat to see him.
Okay.
I don't know if it was necessary, but I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I wasn't against bird feet.
Who else did we have?
You're not going to talk about the Titans saving the day?
Why don't you talk about the Titans saving the day?
At the end?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, the end, it's like going back, right? They know they're going to lose because we're not going to hold off Horus forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Rogel Dorn is like, close these gates, keep it moving. And Sanguinius is like, no, we have to save the humans. And everyone else is like, do we though? Well, I guess the Khan is probably like, yeah, you should save those humans. And so, like, Raldoron is fighting and Thane is fighting, and they, like, Sanguinius goes out and he tells all these humans to, like, make for the gates. They, like, open up the gates, which have been closed because they had no intention of saving any of these soldiers outside. And so they open up the gates, and everyone's like, this is going to go badly. Don't open the gates. Traitors are going to pour in. And then this, like, company of Titans comes storming out of the gates that at some point earlier in the book, Sanguinius had gone to this lady and talked to her about how he needs her, because he can see the future, about how he needs her, and she has to get over the fact that, like, her Titan died, and she needs to bond with this Titan she hasn't been in before. And she's like, I guess you're a Primarch, and it's cool. And so, like, they come storming out, and they basically tighten everything, and thousands of humans make it in, and Raldoron meets Katsuhiro. And he sees Ashel, whose spy name we don't know anymore, walking inside. So, like, Ashel makes it inside. I don't know where Ms. Madra is. I think she died down in the tunnel.
She died.
Yeah. So there's this whole story about Katsuhiro's friend who's like, hey, this dude and this lady seem super weird. And he keeps saying it and no one believes him. And then he sees them, like, kill him in some warrens underneath sort of the outworks.
Yeah.
So there is a whole, like, Alpha Legion spy story happening, right? And Katsuhiro is one of the humans who makes it back in after the Titans storm out and, like, sweep everyone, and Sanguinius is a hero. And they have the gates closed, and, like, Raldoron is walking by, and he's like, why did you save us? Like, we're just regular humans. And Raldoron's like, you guys are heroes. Of course we saved you, and, like, it's an honor to have shared the same battlefield with you or whatever. And it's very sweet. And right before Katsuhiro passes out, he's like, hey, that dude. And he just passes out. And that's how I remember it ending. So, like, now the spies are inside the palace.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that covers everything.
That was my favorite part of the book.
Yeah?
Pretty much. I liked Sanguinius, like, kicking butt.
Okay.
But I also like Raldoron meeting the regular human, and now the spies are inside the palace.
Do you remember another scene where a Blood Angel met a regular human? In Master of Mankind?
Like, in the tunnels underneath? Yeah.
And him and the Custode?
Yeah.
There's a little girl?
Yeah. That was cute.
Blood Angels... I'm not a huge fan of post-heresy Blood Angels, because I think they get a little too flanderized. But pre-heresy Blood Angels have some really interesting stuff going on.
Okay.
Like pre-Sanguinius, they were known as the Revenant Legion, and they were basically sent at a planet and forgotten about because their gene seed is such that they can recruit from literally anything. And so they would just go, they would fight forces, they would steal children, and then make their own new Marines out of that, and then eat the dead.
Okay.
They were like super big on like cannibalism, and because of they have sort of this overactive implant where normally, you know how a Marine can eat something and they can get some of its memories?
Omophagia.
Yeah.
Look at me knowing things.
Nice. In the Blood Angels Legion, or at least at the time, when sort of a major Legion commander died,
they would eat them.
They would choose a successor, and they would eat the whole body.
That's a lot.
Right.
Space Marines are large.
Yes. Well, they would eat the whole body in a ritual and become that new person. Like it was a full personality to overtake. And so
Side note, that is exactly how you get mad cow disease. Don't be eating dead people. Just saying.
Their immune system's very impressive.
Okay.
Pretty much anything other than Death Guard plagues, they can withstand pretty well.
Yeah, I thought it was cute that they got to meet those two characters that we like a lot.
Yeah.
And now they're spies in the palace, and I find that exciting.
Spies in the Palace. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
But for our next book, we'll be taking a little break.
What is it?
You are currently reading it.
House of Night and Chain?
I
didn't think we were going to do it. I thought our next book would be the next Siege of Terra.
I still have to get it.
Okay. Yeah, House of Night and Chain's going well.
Yep.
It's a little creepy horror story,
I have read it. I thought it was the best Warhammer horror book.
Okay.
I was very impressed by it.
I will judge it.
Yes. Ebony is a much bigger horror fan than I am, so she will probably have, some finer points on it.
It's got some ominous, creepy stuff happening. Yeah. I won't spoil it.
Okay.
All right. Happy Independence Day.
Bye, everyone.